Welcome to YOL. This is our work from home well-being series. Today we're discussing balance. You all hear that bell? Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here. This is the work from home well-being series presented by YOL. Today, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jason Gant. And before we get started here, I want us to all do a check-in. T-E-A. So give me the T check-in. So since there aren't too many of us here, we can just go around. And what is the T check-in? The T check-in is our thoughts, energy, and attitude. So T for thoughts, E for energy, A for attitude. And just asking ourselves, where are my thoughts? How's my energy right now? And how's my attitude? Let's just do a quick check-in to yourself. And then I want to go around and just everyone rate where they're at right now from 1 to 10, 10 being great, 1 being not so great. And we'll direct the check-in just by going with the T, thought, energy, and attitude. So let's all take a breath here. And I'll leave a couple moments of silence for us to do a T check-in. So nice deep inhale to a nice and smooth exhale. Thoughts, energy, attitude. Taking a couple more breaths. And feel free to open your eyes or wiggle your fingers, coming back to the group. Now I want to just go around, have everyone check in with us since we have a small group. We'd love to hear from you all. So I'll begin. We don't have to go through what our thoughts, energy, and attitude was, but just giving the number. And so right now, taking a breath. Feeling like a 9. Feeling the anxiety of leading the group right now, but also feeling excited and feeling a positive energy around it. I'm outside, the sun is beating on me, it feels great. Got some fresh air. So I'm feeling good. Happy that you guys are all signed in with me. So good day. My tea is warm, my tea is good. So who would like to go next? Thoughts, energy, attitude, just giving yourself a rating from 1 to 10. How are you guys doing out there? 1, not so great. 10, feeling great.
I'd give it an 8. It's been the end of this week. I've rather overloaded my calendar, and I'm looking forward to it winding down. And I'm going to I'm hopeful that next week will not be nearly so busy. So I'm looking forward to having a little more headroom in my energy budget.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being here too. Who's next? Got an 8.
I would say I'm a 7 right now. I'm feeling got a lot of thoughts that I'm having trouble focusing on. My energy could be better. I haven't gotten enough sleep. I haven't slept enough. You can tell I haven't gotten enough sleep. I'm combining sleep and slept in the same sentence. And so I would say a 7. I'm feeling my attitude is positive, and been working on a bunch of stuff, and some of which will come to fruition next week. So I'm feeling good about that. But like Brian, I'm looking for some rest and relaxation this weekend.
Wonderful. Well, happy to start that off with a little balance.
Hi, it's Lily. I can go next. I would give, thank you, Jason, so much. This is neat. My energy and my attitude are at a 10.
Awesome.
Despite everything else going on. My thoughts, though, are a little scattered, so that might pull me down to like an 8.5, I think, overall, because my brain's a little crazy right now. I didn't get enough done today. I've had a busy week, too. Like Brian said, I was a little overloaded, and like David said, just a lot of thoughts, different scattered thoughts. Not bad things, just like kind of all over the place. So 8.5 total.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Thank you.
That's solid. That's great. I mean, we got a 9, an 8, a 7, and an 8.5. So we're all more than.
Folks are doing good.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ambitious. I think I'm sitting on a solid 9.7 right now.
I like the specificity.
Always room. I don't know about you folks, but I've been feeling, how did I coin it? I'm super busy with nothing to do. I'm so busy, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's weird because I'm barely going anywhere. I am working from home. I'm at work right now. This is on my work schedule. And it's just been a real challenge for me to find a balance. This is super timely, Jason. I wanted to thank you for all the gratitude that I've led with and all the good work that you've done in your life to bring you to this point. And I still have to meditate today, but I woke up pretty early, took a nice walk around my neighborhood here in the city. And I'm gonna have some tasty pasta in about 30 minutes. So I'm in.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part of the group. 9.7, awesome. And balance today. So right on time. And wrapping us up here, Rami, how are you doing? Thoughts, energy, attitude, where are you at?
Yo, what's good? What's good? I'm big chilling out here in Phoenix. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off the last guy. He said some good things, right around like an 8 or 9. Always room for improvement. A lot of thoughts. Feeling very busy. Although there's, not much we could do, still very overwhelmed with things. But trying to continue to remind myself that this is all going to pass and that this is all going to get back to a place where we could look back and really see some growth within us all, because we're forced to grow under these crazy circumstances. That's pretty much how I'm feeling.
Great, thank you. And as someone yesterday shared with me that this time of isolation should be a great time for separation, and the context is with athletics and with sports. And so, where the coaches are training their teams over Zoom, doing yoga sessions, trying to keep them engaged. But the point was, we have so much isolation that this is a great time for us to separate from the pack and separate from the other programs and the other athletes. So like you're saying, Rami, yeah, it is a great time for growth. But what I would like to, focus on today is that feeling that everyone has been saying is feeling busy, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed. That's okay. And although we do have the time to grow and to explore our interests, it's okay not to follow every single thought that we have. I particularly was interested in this topic and talking about balance as a follow-up from judgment, because I found myself, judging myself a lot at the beginning of this quarantine, wanting to create, develop content, also grow by participating in conversations like this. John Kabat-Zinn has a daily meditation, and countless other folks have different talks and trainings that they're doing. And I was feeling like, in order for me to be the best I can be in these situations, like right now where I'm facilitating discussions, I have to be a part of those discussions and see what's happening, see what folks are talking about and what's on the top of their minds. And so just doing that professional development, personally. And as I was thinking about growth and developing, I was thinking, I'm really overworking myself. I'm at home, I'm not supposed to be going anywhere, but yet I'm rushing from meeting to meeting, virtual session to virtual session, conference calls, having to prepare and make sure I'm ready for these calls. And I was just telling someone yesterday, it almost feels as though I'm more busy now than when I was working, when we were not in quarantine. And if we feel like that, that's a issue, and that's a challenge, because we're not in balance. We know that we're not in balance, we feel it, yet we're not taking the intentional moves to correct it. And so that's why I wanted to actually start with the T, the thoughts, energy, and attitude check-in, but also, wanted to expand it or widen that, so that people did have that space, so that we can feel what balance feels like. I can only imagine from everyone's comments saying that they're busy, folks are also coming from one meeting just before this, so we're rushing into this meeting. We may not be prepared. Our thoughts may be racing, so we can't really be in this meeting. We can't really be present for this discussion around balance unless we create the space to be balanced. So just thank you all for participating in that and actually sharing out loud. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jason Gant. I'm an adversity intelligence coach and experience lead with YOL. And today we're discussing balance. This is our this is my second segment. I first discussed judgment. And the premise was if uncertainty, if not trained, can lead to fear. And fear is a great instigator for judgment. And judgment is jumping straight to a conclusion. Then we must lean in on balance, and we must lean in on one another so that we feel balanced. So as I was preparing for this, I'm thinking, like, what is balance? What does that actually mean? And so I looked up the definition, and it's an even distribution of weight enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. To remain upright and steady. And so just as I read that out loud and I think about everyone saying that they're busy, they're feeling stressed, they're tired, you know, how are you staying upright and steady? How are we staying upright and steady? If that's a definition of balance, but we all just said that we're being pulled in different ways, we're busy, we're stressed. Another definition I found was a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions. Are equal or in the correct proportions. So I work with athletes a lot. And when I think about a balanced athlete, they have a strong mental aptitude for the sport, and they can physically play the specific sport. They can play the game. Usually I work particularly with players on the junior college level. And so usually players I encounter have one or the other. They usually don't have both, or they probably wouldn't be at the junior college level. So they need to be working either academically, physically, or they need to be developing both. And so I train athletes to feel the breath and to notice and be aware of their breath so that we can specifically marry and join the mind and body. Athletes are professional or masterful at moving their physical bodies. They're not always as great as adjusting to the emotion regulation that they need to in intensity. And so what we like to practice is feeling the breath move through the body, feeling the breath move while the body is still. And so I actually would like to try that today with you all, is feeling the breath move through the body while the body is still. And really identifying with this idea of one breath, one moment. Because in this one breath, one moment, we're able to be in that present moment and not be taken by the moment and feel like we're stressed or busy. And by widening that moment or that space, we're able to have more power. And so just learning to lean into the present for data, for self-awareness, for intelligence, to support a healthy shift into balance. Let's all take a breath here. A nice inhale to nice exhale. And we said in the comments that we were really busy. And so just really taking this opportunity to notice the end of one breath and when the next breath begins. Notice the end of one breath and when the next breath begins. And how do you know? How do you know that that breath just ended and that a new one began? Without judging ourselves, just being curious to the moment, being open, just trying to understand your current experience, your reality. There's no way to do this wrong. This is something that we're doing all day, every day. Our body naturally breathes for us. So right now what we're doing is intentionally breathing. And we're just trying to bring awareness to the breath so that we notice when one breath ends and the next breath begins. Just bring in a spaciousness. Whether you start with an inhale or an exhale, I leave that up to you. But wherever you begin, whether with an inhale or exhale, just notice when that breath ends and when you notice that next breath. Just following your breath with curiosity. We're just arming ourselves with more data, more intelligence about our present moment experience. Feeling the ground beneath you, feeling the support. Just taking an intentional breath here. And feel free to open the eyes. And coming back to the group. Again, just coming back to the T. Noticing how we're feeling. Reflecting on the sensation of noticing our breath when one begins and when it ends. And this is balance. What we're doing now is balance. We're connecting the mind and body through the breath. We're being curious about our experience. And through being curious about our experience, like doing the T check-in, we got some data, we got some intelligence that told us, hey, I'm moving a little too much. I'm a little too busy. I'm happy the weekend is coming up so that I can chill out. And I hope that I can ride that chill wave into next week. So by accessing our breath here, we're allowing for a little balance, a little spaciousness, so that we're not overtaken by our days and we can rather respond. So this is what balance looks like. This is what balance feels like. Often we forget balance, we forget to breathe, and we're on to the next thing, feeling like we have to come out of coronavirus as brand new people with all these new skills, when really we just need to take a breath, add some spaciousness, and be curious about how we're actually doing. So I just want to hear from you all. Were you able to notice where one breath ended and the next began? Is that still a practice you may need to work on? It is very subtle. We are always breathing, so to take a moment to be curious about our breath and to be investigative like this may have felt stressful, may have felt like I can't do this, I don't know what you're talking about. But just want to hear from you all. How was it to do the breathing exercise where we're noticing our breath? For some, it felt good. This looks like we want to do it, to jump in some more, add a little bit more spaciousness and balance, huh?
That's my jam, Jay. It's interesting. You mentioned that you were working with athletes on developing these practices. They're life skills, but they'll serve. I mean, I'm sure you could speak volumes about how they can serve you on the court. And if you look at a basketball player, right, he's getting ready to shoot a free throw, which is like his or her moment where like everything is stopped and they're the only ones like activated and doing something. It's a lot of pressure. You want to make that shot. And they'll take a deep breath. If you watch them, Steph Curry will always take a deep breath before he puts that shot up. And that's all it is. It's one moment to gather yourself and collect your energies to allow the skills that you've already been developed along the way to come through and not let all the rest of the distractions distract.
Exactly. Just like you said, one breath, one moment, as we talk about athletes and the free throws and mindfulness and mental skills, that's actually how I introduce mindfulness, is through the free throw line. I ask players, do they know their free throw percentage? That's asking about their awareness. Do they take a breath? Do they have a routine? Or are they doing something different every time, which is impacting, serves as a distraction? So there's so many skills that come up, like you say, just at the free throw line, based on the intensity and being in that moment. How was the breathing exercise for you, though? Were you able to notice when one breath ended and the next began?
As I said, I'm not fully present because I'm cooking as we're doing this class. And that's a decision that I made, but it's an example of how multitasking is the norm. And sometimes it's necessary. In this case, I didn't actually have to. I could have just stopped and cooked later. But it's hard. It's really hard to be with your breath and be with those finer moments while you're doing something else. That's why you generally will kind of sit still, or if you're walking, move real slowly while you're meditating. But it's good. And it always feels good to connect with the breath, even if the emotions happening in that moment aren't great. Thoughts and emotions.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you saying that and sharing, but also being active and taking care of your meal there, because, that is the reality of it, that multitasking is a real thing. I'm sure, and I know for a fact that you're not the only one that's probably multitasking right now. So I appreciate you for just being transparent about your reality and what you have to do and what you feel called to do, while bringing us along for the ride. So thank you. Anyone else? How was it to connect with your breath? Were you able to notice where one breath ended and the next began? How are you guys doing?
It struck me that this is just another lens through which to focus on the breath, and that's the kind of the core of my mindfulness practice is just a breathing meditation. And in juxtaposition to our tea check-in, it's remarkably centering. I don't have to regret the mistakes I made this week. I don't have to worry about the mistakes I haven't made yet. Being present in the moment is very soothing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, both you and Preston both said it feels good, it's soothing. And so again, it's just about taking that time to, provide that spaciousness to ourselves, and kind of, John Kabat-Zinn always says, laying out the welcome mat. Just lay out the welcome mat to ourselves and to our own experience, and just taking the time, I guess. One moment, one breath. Any other last shares before we move on here?
Sure. I guess I'll chime in and say thanks, Preston, for multitasking and talking about it too, because I eventually had to eat. I had to turn my camera off and eat. But I did do all of that initial breath work. I forced myself to sit and be quiet and do that. To answer your question, Jason, was it easy to notice the in and out and the stopping? Yes, I forced myself to do that, which kind of to tag on to what Brian said, that it just brings you that calm in the moment. Like I forced myself to forget that I needed to go eat and to sit for a moment to think about that breath. And when I came in with my thoughts at a 7, they were really scattered, but they can't be scattered when I'm thinking about my breath. So then even coming out of the breath to go grab something to eat, I feel much calmer than earlier. So it reminds me that even in the midst of my running around way too busy, that even just a moment of connection like that is really powerful to put me back on track and keep my thoughts a little more focused. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Rami, were you able to connect with your breath? Right. Hello, Z.
Hi. I'm amazed at how the simplest movement of attention can result in so much processing of energy. Like just awareness, no muscles involved, just awareness. And I'm just grateful every time for the opportunity to not have to guide the process myself, but to actually just ride it and enjoy the amazingness of breath and presence and awareness.
Yeah, definitely. And as we talk about awareness as a way to create balance in our lives, it just loops right back to mindfulness. And mindfulness is about being in the here and now, in the present moment, and using our breath to focus our mind and body to make healthy choices. And so that's what we were just doing, just slowing down to allow our body and mind to make the healthy choice. And the healthy choice we feel or notice coming out of it is, you know, it feels soothing. I'm at ease. I feel comfortable. It feels good. I feel connected. And it's so easy to forget all of those positives that we have experienced before when we get tied up in the multitasking. And we get tied up in the thoughts that conflict with our energy, that conflict with our attitude. And so it's all about alignment, but to come to alignment, we first have to notice that moment that we're in and then connect to it by using the breath. So the last activity here I'd like to do is an open awareness visualization. So feel free to close your eyes or drop your gaze. And I'm going to lead us through an open awareness visualization before we wrap up here. Feel free to mute yourself if there's any background noise, please. But feel free to drop your gaze, close your eyes, and just follow along. So find a way to sit that's comfortable, upright, alert, and relaxed. We'll begin by taking a long breath in. And nice and smooth breath out. Just directing your attention to the breath, noticing the in-breath, following the out-breath. And just as we were doing when thoughts, sensations, sounds, when any of those things arise, just simply returning focused attention to the breath. Breathing in and out. Inflow to outflow. Now, in order to develop familiarity with open awareness, we'll scan through the different categories of mental experience that we can be aware of. This will help us to make the discernment between what we might call the contents of awareness and the underlying capacity of awareness. Again, this will help us to make the discernment between what we might call the contents of awareness and the underlying capacity of awareness. Sensations. Starting with sounds. Are you aware of any sounds right now? Next, noticing if you're aware of any sights. Notice if you are aware of any sights, even if your eyes are closed, noticing the darkness and flashes of light in the eyelids. Being aware of any smells in the present. Being aware of any smells in the present. Noticing any taste present in the mouth. Noticing any taste present in the mouth. Finally, noticing what it's like to have the sensation of touch fill awareness. Perhaps the hands making contact with the thighs or the feet pressing against the socks. Noticing the sensation of touch. As we go into the body, moving attention from the breath to the body as a whole. Are there any places where you feel something in your body right now? Are there any places where you feel something in your body right now? Maybe the contact between the feet and the floor, maybe feelings of heat or coolness. Letting the mind be open to sensations at the level of the body. Letting the mind be open to sensations at the level of the body. Opening the scope of attention further to include feelings. Do you notice any slight feelings going on right now? Any slight feelings going on right now? Possibly there's some strong feelings, or maybe just a vague flavor of curiosity or boredom, maybe anxiousness or calm. As we go in, if you like, you can note the feeling with a brief headline or a couple of words that help you to be aware and not caught up in the sensation. We call this naming it to tame it, name it to tame it. It's like feeling sluggish or warmth in the face, but naming that emotion, naming that feeling. And now expanding to thoughts or mental images. Noticing if and when thoughts and images appear, fluctuate, shift, and disappear. Again, if it's helpful, you can note thoughts with headline like thinking about email, remembering a conversation, remembering to breathe. Now expanding awareness to include awareness. Expanding awareness to include awareness itself. What is this capacity to be aware of your experience? The space in which different experiences arise and disappear. What does that feel like? How does it feel? Now, having scanned through the different categories of mental experience, see what it's like to let any of the many different experiences come and go with an open, kind, bring it on kind of attitude. I'm sitting outside here, nothing but the clear sky. Just noticing which patterns form and which disperse. Which thought patterns form and which disperse. Just bringing a curiosity, a kindness to this open awareness. Whatever is arising, letting it be with kindness and awareness. Remembering to note it, name it, to tame it. And breathing in and out as the mind takes the many shapes. Noticing your feet firmly on the ground. Connecting with your breath. Maybe putting your hand over your heart. Bringing some heartfulness. And closing by simply resting the mind on the sensations of breathing. Bringing heartfulness to yourself. Finding that anchor breath of where in your body you feel the breath most vividly. And allowing the mind to just rest right there. Breathing in and out. Inflow to outflow. Now fully opening the eyes and perhaps taking a moment of open awareness just wherever you are. Maybe looking around the room. For those that are outside, just looking around. Just noticing the mind getting pulled to different sights, sounds, thoughts, and feelings. And just continuing to watch and notice where your mind goes, where your thoughts go. Like watching a dog as it walks around a park and exploring different things with curiosity and kindness. Taking a nice, full, deep inhale here. One last big breath. Nice and refreshing. And a smooth exhale. So thank you all for your open awareness and attention. That about wraps up our balance session and discussion. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Mindfulness really just offers us a new way of seeing our life and helps us be less reactionary, provides more spaciousness in our moments. And when we believe our experience is not right or something is off about it, if we don't feel good enough, this is because we're not aligned and we're feeling unbalanced. So when we go through this process, we have lost our awareness of the present moment and our chance to choose. Remember what Viktor Frankl said. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. So this active participation in our decision-making allows us the opportunity to cultivate more balance. So thank you so much. I appreciate everyone for being here, taking part in the activities. We'll be back next week. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll have Gita, who will be joining us to talk about leading from behind the screen. She'll be discussing leading from behind the screen. There are ideas, insights, and tools on how to show up on video calls as an inspiring leader. So thank you so much. This is Yoel's Work From Home Wellbeing Series. My name is Jason Gant. I'm an adversity intelligence trainer and coach. And today we discussed balance. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a great week. Stay safe out there. Thank you.